Imagine beginning your day with something so gentle, so simple, that it almost feels impossible for it to have such a profound effect on your body. Yet 1 tablespoon of pure, cold-pressed olive oil can quietly activate a deep internal healing response that most people have never been told about. It doesn't shock the body like harsh fasting. It doesn't starve you into misery. Instead, it slips into the bloodstream with an almost calming presence, lowering the noise of insulin, soothing inflammation, and whispering to your cells to begin repairing themselves. There is something extraordinary about the way your body reacts to this one ingredient, something ancient, something deeply biological, something that modern lifestyles have almost buried under stress, sugar, and constant eating. Most people have no idea that their metabolism is working against them every single day. Not because their body is broken, but because it is overwhelmed. Insulin resistance has become such a silent epidemic that millions walk around feeling tired, heavy, foggy, and inflamed without understanding the invisible mechanism behind their struggles. Their insulin stays high for too long, their cells stop responding, their energy swings up and down like a roller coaster. Their hunger seems louder than their willpower. They try diets, teas, gym memberships, supplements, but nothing seems to move the needle because the real issue is happening at a microscopic level, inside the doorway that lets fuel into their cells, and that doorway is blocked. This is why something as small as a tablespoon of olive oil can feel almost magical. It bypasses the noise, it settles the chaos. When insulin remains low and steady, the body can finally access the energy stored in fat cells. And even more importantly, autophagy, the natural recycling system of your body, wakes up. Imagine your cells scanning themselves for damage, sweeping out old debris, repairing broken parts, and renewing their energy engines. This is what autophagy does, and olive oil fasting quietly nudges it into action without the shock or discomfort of strict water fasting. People assume fasting must be harsh to work, that you must push through dizziness, fatigue, or cravings. But the truth is kinder. The body responds to nourishment, not punishment. Olive oil provides a gentle stream of healthy fats that stabilizes blood sugar, keeps insulin suppressed, and gives the digestive system a break long enough for the body to switch into internal housekeeping mode. Pure Vitality MD often reminds us that healing does not come from force. It comes from understanding the language of your metabolism and working with it instead of against it. And olive oil speaks that language fluently. There is something deeply human about this form of fasting. For thousands of years, people consumed natural fats without guilt or fear. They used olive oil as medicine, as nourishment, as a daily ritual that maintained balance in the body. Modern culture replaced those simple rhythms with ultra-processed foods that spike insulin, overstimulate appetite, and drown the body in inflammation. Today, people feel exhausted not because they lack motivation, but because their cells are suffocating under the weight of constant metabolic stress. Insulin resistance is not loud or dramatic. It creeps in slowly, a little fatigue here, a stubborn belly fat pocket there, cravings that don't make sense, brain fog in the afternoon, mood dips, digestive discomfort, skin changes, sleep disturbances, all subtle signs that the body's energy handling system is overwhelmed. And this quiet breakdown affects nearly everything: how you burn fat, how you store fuel, how you heal, how you age. Yet most people don't recognize it until it becomes so severe that even simple fasting feels like climbing a mountain. This is where olive oil fasting becomes a revelation. It gives the body a break without triggering panic. It supplies the liver with a clean burning fuel that does not spike insulin. It keeps hunger muted while allowing the deep processes of autophagy to unfold. It signals the body to start relying on stored fat as a steady energy source. And with that shift, the heavy metabolic wall of insulin resistance begins to crack. Imagine walking through your morning feeling lighter, not because you forced yourself into deprivation, but because your body is finally working for you instead of dragging you down. Imagine your mind feeling clearer because inflammation has softened, your energy steady because insulin is no longer pushing you into a spiral of spikes and crashes. Even your mood can shift because metabolic balance brings hormonal balance. and hormonal balance brings emotional calm. Many people think fasting is only about weight loss, but olive oil fasting teaches something more profound. It is about removing the pressure from your internal system so they can reboot. It's about creating a window of peace for your body so it can correct what constant eating disrupted. And it's about learning that healing does not have to be extreme to be effective. There is a form of fasting that feels supportive rather than punishing, nourishing rather than depleting. In this gentle space, autophagy turns on more strongly. Damaged cells get recycled. Mitochondria become more efficient. Inflammation quiets down. The gut gets a moment of rest. And the liver breathes for the first time in a long time. This is why people report a surprising sense of calm during olive oil fasting. They feel grounded, steady, almost peaceful, because their internal systems are finally aligning. As you introduce insulin resistance early in the journey, the listener understands the root of their struggle. It is not laziness, it is not aging, it is not failure. It is a metabolic blockage that can be soothed rather than fought. And the promise of olive oil fasting is that the body can shift back into balance with ease, not through restriction, but through nourishment that supports the natural intelligence of your metabolism. The listener begins to feel hopeful because the path forward is no longer harsh. It is gentle, approachable, and deeply healing. This intro should guide them into a space of curiosity and openness. It should help them realize that their body has been communicating with them all along through fatigue, cravings, and frustration. And now, finally, they are learning how to listen. Olive oil fasting becomes not just a method, but a doorway into a healthier, clearer, more energetic way of living. Olive oil fasting is one of those practices that feels almost too gentle to be powerful. People imagine fasting as emptiness, as going without, as pushing through hunger. But this is different. This is fasting with support, fasting with nourishment, fasting with something that steadies the body instead of startling it. Imagine sitting in a quiet morning, taking a tablespoon of pure cold-pressed olive oil and feeling it settle into your system like a warm, grounding presence. It doesn't wake up hunger, it doesn't shake your blood sugar, it simply whispers to your metabolism that it is safe to stay in repair mode. The beauty of this method lies in the way healthy fats activate hormones that calm appetite. As the olive oil moves through your digestive tract, it signals the release of satiety messengers, gentle hormones like CCK, that tell your brain you are okay, you are nourished, you don't need to eat right now. This natural signal softens cravings and keeps cortisol from rising. And when cortisol stays down, blood sugar stays steady. No spikes, no dips, no sudden bursts of hunger that drag you out of your fast. Just a smooth, steady internal rhythm. Many people don't realize that fasting becomes difficult when their metabolism is still dependent on glucose. A glucose-driven body scans constantly for the next quick-burning fuel source. It feels panicked when none arrives. Hunger becomes urgent, energy drops sharply, the body becomes uneasy because it is trained to burn sugar first and fast. But olive oil offers a bridge, an elegant transition into fat-burning metabolism. It provides a slow, stable release of energy that teaches the body to shift away from glucose dependency and into fat-based fuel. This shift is the quiet magic of olive oil fasting. When the body burns fat instead of sugar, insulin stays low. And when insulin stays low, autophagy can continue. This is why olive oil does not interrupt the fasting benefits. It doesn't trigger the metabolic alarm that carbohydrates do. It slips beneath the radar, allowing the deep cellular repair processes to keep going. It gives your mitochondria a calm, consistent fuel supply so they don't panic. And in that calmness, the body stays open to healing. Think of autophagy like a housekeeping process that only happens when the house is quiet. If you eat carbs, the house fills with noise again. Insulin rises, digestion activates, repair shuts off. But when you take olive oil, the house stays peaceful. The body gets energy without chaos, cells continue, cleaning and recycling old parts. Inflammation softens because no new glucose spike is rushing through the bloodstream. The liver gets a moment to breathe. Through simple narration, olive oil fasting becomes less of a rule and more of an understanding. It is giving your body just enough nourishment to stay balanced while still allowing the deeper metabolic functions to unfold. It is letting your cells work on themselves instead of constantly working on your meals. And in this calm space, the body finally remembers how to heal, how to burn fat, and how to return to its natural rhythm. Autophagy is one of those processes that sounds complicated until you picture what is actually happening inside your body. Imagine each of your cells as a tiny home. Over time, that home gathers clutter, old proteins, damaged mitochondria, broken fragments that slow everything down. Autophagy is the quiet, nighttime cleaning crew. It moves through each cell, picking up what doesn't belong, recycling what can be reused, and clearing space so the cell can function with clarity and energy again. It is like giving your cells a fresh start from the inside out. When people fast with only water, autophagy eventually turns on, but it often comes with waves of hunger, fatigue, and stress. The body feels the drop in fuel sharply, especially if the person is still transitioning away from sugar metabolism. Cortisol rises, the nervous system becomes alert, and while autophagy still happens, many people cannot stay consistent long enough to benefit from it fully. Their intention is strong, but the discomfort pushes them out of the fast before the real magic begins. Olive oil fasting brings softness to this process. When a small amount of healthy fat enters the bloodstream, it does something remarkable. It gives the mitochondria, the power plants of your cells, a gentle, slow-burning fuel. This keeps the body calm while still allowing the fasting chemistry to continue. Autophagy doesn't shut off. In fact, it often becomes more efficient because the body is not fighting stress. The cells can focus on cleanup rather than crisis management. Mitochondria that are worn out or damaged get identified and recycled more easily. Inflammation inside the cell begins to decrease because broken pieces are no longer lingering and disrupting the environment. It helps to imagine your mitochondria as tiny engines. When they run on clean fuel, like the monounsaturated fats in olive oil, they produce energy with less friction, less waste, and less inflammation. But when they run on glucose, it's like burning paper in a small furnace, fast, hot, dirty, and exhausting. The smoke from that fire, oxidative stress, creates inflammation throughout the cell. With olive oil, the engines hum more quietly. They stay active but not overwhelmed. And in that calm energy state, the cleaning crew of autophagy can move through the cell with more precision. This is the bridge that olive oil fasting creates. Water fasting throws the body straight into deep cleaning, but without cushioning. Olive oil fasting offers cushioning without breaking the fast. It delivers energy without activating insulin, and because insulin remains low, autophagy continues uninterrupted. The body receives just enough nourishment to stay grounded and just enough fasting signal to activate repair. It's like dimming the lights instead of turning them off. Your system relaxes, but it keeps working. People often find that they can fast longer and more comfortably with this method. The brain stays clear, the body stays steady, the hunger remains quiet. And because they can stay in this state longer, the repair work becomes deeper. The cleanup crew has more time to finish the job. Damaged mitochondria get replaced with newer, stronger on. Inflammation melts away at a cellular level. Fat oxidation increases as the body continues burning stored fat for energy, uninterrupted and unconfused. The difference becomes clear through experience. Water fasting is a sharp, intense drop into the deep end. Olive oil fasting is a gentle descent that still takes you to the same healing waters, but without the shock. It lets the body feel supported rather than stressed. It lets the mind stay calm rather than desperate. And it lets the cellular cleanup unfold with a rhythm that feels natural, sustainable, and almost peaceful. Insulin resistance often begins quietly, long before someone realizes anything is wrong. Picture a person who eats small meals throughout the day: breakfast, a mid-morning snack, lunch, a sweetened coffee in the afternoon, dinner, and then something light before bed. None of these meals seem extreme, but each one triggers a rise in insulin. the hormone that helps move sugar from the bloodstream into the cells. Over time, these constant spikes become noise the body grows used to. The cells stop responding with the same sensitivity. It is like knocking on a door every hour. Eventually, the person inside stops answering. This is what happens with insulin resistance. The message is there, but the cells are no longer listening. Imagine someone like Sarah. She's busy, she snacks often, she drinks juice thinking it's healthy, and she wonders why she feels tired even after eating. Her cells are flooded with sugar all day, and her pancreas keeps sending more insulin to handle it. But the cells are overwhelmed, inflamed, and burdened by oxidative stress. They have so much fuel that they don't want any more. The receptors on the cell surface that should welcome insulin become stiff and resistant. The sugar can't get inside, so it stays in the blood, and even more insulin is released. This cycle keeps going, driving cravings higher, energy lower, and weight gain more stubborn. Inflammation plays a role here too. Hidden inflammation caused by stress, processed foods, lack of sleep, or even gut imbalance creates an environment where cells feel threatened. When cells are inflamed, they shut their doors even tighter. This is why people with insulin resistance often crave sugar despite feeling exhausted. Their cells are starving for usable energy, but the pathway to get it is blocked. The mismatch between hunger and fatigue becomes one of the most frustrating symptoms. Now imagine introducing olive oil fasting into this picture. Nothing dramatic, nothing forceful, just a simple tablespoon of pure olive oil during a fasting window. The moment this healthy fat enters the system, something immediate and soothing happens. Insulin demand drops. The body no longer needs to handle sugar because there is none coming in. The pancreas can rest. Blood sugar begins to stabilize. The nervous system gets a signal of calm because fat digestion is slow, steady, and grounding. The liver, which has been overwhelmed by sugar processing, finally gets a break to detoxify and reset. Olive oil provides clean energy without spiking insulin, and this alone gives the cells a chance to breathe. Imagine someone like Sarah practicing olive oil fasting for a few days. She notices her cravings soften. The afternoon crash doesn't hit with the same force. Her hunger feels quieter, more manageable. Inside her body, insulin levels are dropping, oxidative stress is decreasing, and the cells are slowly becoming receptive again. They start responding to insulin's knock because the noise has finally quieted. With less inflammation clouding the environment, the receptors begin functioning more normally. The liver especially benefits from this gentler metabolic state. When it's not busy handling glucose, it begins mobilizing stored fat for energy. This shift lowers insulin even more, creating a cycle that moves in the opposite direction of insulin resistance. Fat burning increases. Autophagy continues. Cravings loosen their grip because the body is finally getting steady fuel from its own storage instead of demanding quick sugar hits. This is the power of olive oil fasting. It doesn't push the body, it teaches it. It reminds the metabolism how to operate without constant insulin. It breaks the cycle of spikes and crashes. It nudges the body gently back toward sensitivity. And for someone who has been fighting fatigue, cravings, and stubborn weight for years, this gentle guidance can feel like hope returning to the metabolism, one small step at a time. A full day of olive oil fasting begins quietly, almost like entering a slower rhythm where the body finally has space to breathe. Imagine waking up in the morning, still in that gentle space between sleep and alertness. Your stomach feels neutral, not hungry, not full, just calm. You take a tablespoon of pure, cold-pressed, extra virgin olive oil, letting it coat your throat and settle into your stomach with a warm, grounding sensation. This begins the fast. It acts like a friendly guide, telling your metabolism, we are easing into this. You are supported. During the first hour, hunger might flicker lightly, not urgent but familiar. The olive oil helps quiet these signals by activating satiety hormones. Instead of the sharp morning hunger that hits after a high-carb dinner night, you feel something softer. Your blood sugar stays level. Cortisol doesn't spike. Your energy moves in a slow rise rather than a jolt. Around the second or third hour, your body begins shifting into fat-burning mode. Ketones begin to rise gradually, not dramatically, because the fat from the olive oil provides a steady flow of fuel. You might notice that your mind feels a bit clearer, not in a burst, but in a gentle brightening. The digestive system continues resting. There's no heavy workload for your gut, and this freedom allows inflammation markers to begin dropping quietly in the background. By the fourth or fifth hour, you may feel a small wave of hunger, but it passes quickly. With traditional water fasting, this is the point where many people give up because the drop in blood sugar feels uncomfortable. But the olive oil you took earlier helps maintain stability, creating a smooth line rather than a sharp dip. If needed, you can take another tablespoon around this time, especially if you are doing a longer fast. The dose is small, usually 1 to 2 tablespoons total across the day, spaced apart so the body remains in a steady fasting compatible state. As midday arrives, your energy feels lighter, not hyped, not sleepy, simply clean. The body is now drawing more heavily on stored fat for fuel. Ketones rise even more, and with them comes a sense of mental clarity. Thoughts feel organized. Emotions feel more balanced. You may even notice a gentle warmth in the body as fat burning increases. The liver is now shifting into repair mode, breaking down old fats, clearing stored toxins and lowering inflammation because it isn't busy processing. Sugars. During the afternoon hours, the digestive rest becomes more noticeable. Your stomach feels peaceful, no bloating, no heaviness. The intestines get a break from constant work, which supports overall gut healing. This is also when autophagy is quietly at work, cleaning up cellular debris, repairing damaged mitochondria, refreshing your internal systems. If hunger returns later in the afternoon, you can take one more small dose of olive oil. The timing depends on your comfort, but spacing doses 4 to 6 hours apart keeps the body in balance without interrupting the fast. The key is purity. Only high-quality extra virgin olive oil, ideally cold-pressed, because refined oils do not give the same metabolic benefits. Moving into the evening, you may notice an unusual sense of clarity and emotional calm. This is the ketone peak. When the brain uses fat-based energy more efficiently, inflammation is lower, blood sugar is stable, and insulin remains quiet. Hunger becomes softer as the body settles fully into fat burning. Even sleep that night feels deeper because the body is not digesting a late meal. A day of olive oil fasting feels different from strict water fasting. It feels supported, it feels steady, it feels like your body is working with you rather than struggling against stress. And when you finish the day, you sense a lightness inside, a reminder that your metabolism can reset gently, your inflammation can ease quietly, and your body can shift into healing with grace rather than force. When you reach this point in the journey, something begins to shift inside you. Not just in your metabolism, but in your sense of connection with your own body. For so long, many people have felt at war with their hunger, their cravings, their energy swings, their stubborn weight, their fatigue. They've been told to push harder, restrict more, try another diet, force another routine. But the body doesn't heal through force. It heals through understanding, rest, and nourishment that honors its natural design. Your body is not your enemy. It has been trying to communicate with you all along, asking for a different rhythm, a kinder rhythm, a space to reset. When you give your liver a break from sugar, it responds with gratitude. When you lower insulin demand, your cells begin to listen again. When mitochondria receive clean, steady fuel instead of constant spikes, they repair, recharge, and return your energy to you. When inflammation softens, clarity rises. And when you take a simple, gentle action like olive oil fasting, you're not punishing yourself. You're supporting the deepest layers of your biology with compassion. This is what reclaiming your metabolic health feels like. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's not a crash diet that leaves you feeling deprived. It's a quiet return to balance. A return to the intelligence your body already has. The liver knows how to detoxify. The mitochondria know how to generate clean energy. The hormones know how to regulate hunger and fullness. The cells know how to repair themselves. They simply need space. They need calm. They need a break from the constant noise of modern eating. And they need nourishment that honors their design, not overwhelms it. Olive oil fasting is one of the gentlest doorways into this healing. It lets you step into fasting without the fear of hunger crashing over you. It steadies your mind. It stabilizes your blood sugar. It quiets the cravings that used to control your day. It softens inflammation that has weighed you down for years. And with every hour you give your body, the deeper repair begins to unfold. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. This journey is not about perfection. It's about consistency. Listening to your body. Responding to its signals with patience instead of frustration. If you feel a little hungry, breathe through it. If your energy feels soft, let it be a sign that your body is adjusting. If clarity rises in the afternoon, recognize it as your metabolism speaking in its natural language. Every small shift is meaningful. Trust your body. It has never stopped working for you. Even in the moments you felt tired, bloated, or stuck, your systems were still trying to correct themselves. Now, with olive oil fasting, you're giving them the support they've been waiting for. You're stepping into a relationship with your metabolism that is grounded, respectful, and nurturing. And that relationship is what leads to long-term transformation. Not just weight loss, but clarity, stability, energy, and a renewed sense of control over your health. Every time you choose this gentle form of fasting, you're choosing healing. You're choosing alignment. You're choosing a future where your body and mind move together rather than against each other. And as you stay consistent, even imperfectly, the transformation will unfold in a way that feels steady, empowering, and deeply deserved.